After years of letting the IP sit and rot, Konami finally returns to Silent Hill with a pay-to-win interactive movie that somehow has a battle pass. And then an actual game, Silent Hill: The Short Message. It's a free, 2-hour experience that's kinda meant to serve as a playable teaser for what Konami might have cooking down the line. And it serves as Silent Hill's transition into a more modern era, asking us the bold question, what if social media was Silent Hill? And also, what if it ran at 12 FPS? Unfortunately, I do not think Silent Hill: The Short Message is any good, in even the slightest way. And it's really just a hodgepodge of ideas and mechanics taken from better games with the storytelling subtleties of a sledgehammer. Right off the bat, the biggest problem with The Short Message is that it refuses to leave anything to the imagination. Every single theme or idea is spelled out in the most plain text possible, and then the game will double down on making it even more obvious in the next note you pick up.
Alright, of all the ways to go about it, obviously this game wasn't going to be subtle, but like, you pick up a note that just goes, child abuse in this region is skyrocketing. It is double the average of every other developed nation. What could have... My mom loved me. She said my mom loved me. Okay, I just read the fucking statistics.
And if it still wasn't clear, don't worry, they make sure that every inch of the walls literally spell out all the themes and ideas for you. But it's not enough that they just show it to you a bunch. They constantly feel the need to also add in these bits of dialogue or cutscenes to really drive home just how subtle the storytelling is.
I'm waiting. They're not gonna fucking go, it's all your fault!
This is all your fault!
Yes! Yes! If they hadn't said that, I wouldn't have known. That could have meant anything.
And of course, because this is a modern take on Silent Hill, everything is centered around phones and the internet, and social media is featured prominently throughout. And while I don't have an issue with this in theory, the problem is that it's so clearly written by a room of adults who have absolutely no idea how the internet actually works. So it all reads like a bunch of, how do you do, fellow kids? Like, one of the big things in this is that she's constantly being heckled online, or at least she thinks that everyone's just being mean to her, and this is then manifested all over the walls and stuff. But nobody who wrote this has ever seen a toxic comment section, because dumb, crybaby, stupid, what? This is some elementary school anti-bullying PSA type of nonsense. People online nowadays will say some actual evil things. Even middle school kids are way more vicious than calling people dumb. I mean, a town in my state just had an incident where, like, middle schoolers deep-faked teachers' faces onto people saying slurs and, like, talking about kids, and those little assholes didn't even apologize and told the teachers to get over it. And you want me to sit here and believe that this is the worst of what a high school senior could be dealing with? Get the fuck out of here. It's just so lame and not believable, especially when the main character also has a classic case of video game character syndrome where she just has to be an idiot, so that the game has an excuse to over-explain basic things to the player or regurgitate whatever you just read.
Amelie hated the way her brother looked at her. I bet she wants to leave to get away from all that.
Oh, you bet that she wants... Oh, what is the last thing that I just fucking read? This is all a bad dream. This is all a bad dream. I have to get out. I want to disappear. Like, I can't be stuck here. I bet she wanted to get out. Oh, you bet. Oh, do you think that? You think that might be the case?
Within the first 10 minutes, you can pretty much figure out what the entire story is. And it's just hard for me to get attached when everything is so superficial. And look, I'm not saying that games shouldn't aim to tackle difficult topics. Most of the narrative-driven games that I love do exactly that. I just think you should aim for some level of nuance or tact and have at least some understanding of the topic you're writing about. There are certainly some interesting avenues that a Silent Hill game based around the internet could have taken, especially in an age where AI, deepfakes, and misinformation are running rampant. But instead of any of that, we get the most surface-level depiction of people can be mean online. I mean, it's almost comical at times. Like, at one point she checks her Twitter and is like, "Oh, I don't have any followers," and then opens up a comment that says, "Post a sexy pic, babe." Like, you want me to take this game seriously? Really? But even ignoring all of that, at the bare minimum, if you're gonna tackle any serious topic, you need to have at least some respect for the player's intelligence. I did not need for you to explain the Silent Hill fog metaphor, Konami. What the fuck are we doing here? Who is this game even for? Gameplay-wise, it's unfortunately also bad. And for the most part, you're just going to be exploring your environments, picking up the occasional note, and then listening to dialogue. Then the environments start to change a bit, and you start looping and re-walking through old environments that are slightly different now. But to spice things up, the game also throws in a few garbage Outlast-style chase sequences that run horribly. These are mostly super brief and also super lame. In general, I just really don't like first-person chase sequences because if you fail once, the tension's kind of gone, I think, because, I mean, you've seen the extent of what's gonna happen, you know? But I will say, in the case of the short message, there is a little bit of tension here, but that tension comes in the fact that if you fail, you're gonna have to suffer through the sequence all over again. Because these are designed around a weird trial and error system where you kind of just gotta run around until you get it right. Like, the final encounter makes you collect a series of pictures scattered across a dark-ass area that all looks the same, and so everyone playing this will just end up running in circles for a few minutes trying to figure out what they could have possibly missed. And if you get caught, you have to start it all over again. Even if you collected 4 out of the 5 pictures, nope, start from scratch, go back to finding the first picture. It is painful to experience because you're given no indication on how to solve it. There's no secret you're supposed to pick up on. The game just expects you to trial and error your way through it and then memorize your path. This section would have been terrible in a full game, but to throw this at the end of your little 2-hour experience is just baffling to me, and unsurprisingly, it's been off-putting to a lot of others as well. As I've seen people online talk about needing to watch a Let's Play to see the end of the game because they just didn't want to experience this encounter ever again, and I don't blame them. And look, I know it might seem like I'm being just way too harsh on a short and free game, and I've seen some people online say that, oh, well, they had to be more direct and obvious with their storytelling because they just had to fit it all in, which I fundamentally disagree with. Because I've played a ton of short indie games that handle similar themes or ideas much better. The Beginner's Guide is a fantastic depiction of an artist's struggles with their peers and external validation. What Remains of Edith Finch is an incredibly cool way to tell a story of generational trauma. The Music Machine is a fascinating, abstract horror game about healing from past trauma. All 3 are under 2 hours long, and I think all 3 are great, so length is no excuse for the god-awful storytelling here. The real problem is that, unlike those 3 games I just mentioned, the short message jumps around between so many different elements instead of just focusing on one topic. For some reason, they wanted to hit every Silent Hill beat in one go, despite not having the runtime or mechanics for it. Repressed memories, stories of abuse, slowly investigating your surroundings, metaphor monsters, changing environments, hard-hitting character drama, multiple characters, multiple character interactions, multiple different locations, the whole shebang, but it feels so cramped in this 2-hour runtime. In my eyes, they should have just picked one idea and stuck with it, instead of trying to be this weird jack of all trades. PT worked because of its simplicity and its gaminess. It was one location, literally just a hallway, but the slight alterations and looping nature would prompt players to pay attention to the subtle changes and work to piece things together. It's around the same length, but unlike the short message, it had a focused purpose: to be a short teaser to show players the style of the game you can expect in a full release. The short message, on the other hand, can't decide if it wants to be a teaser, a full-fledged narrative-driven indie game, or just a full Silent Hill game shrunk down into miniature. And I think it manages to fail at all 3. The music is decent and the graphics look nice, but it also runs like ass and the story is so bad that not even Akira Yamaoka can carry it. In a word, it sucks. In a few more words, it really, really sucks. Oh yeah, and one last minor thing to note, but I think it's worth noting. The game is set in Germany. For some reason, despite the fact that nothing about this game screams Germany. We're in a generic abandoned building. Every developed nation has those. I mean, the first note of the game could have said, "Welcome to Detroit," and it wouldn't have made any difference. The only thing German about the game is their weird adherence to all the interactable items being written in German, despite everything else on the walls being in English. And having those items written in German just led to a ton of translation errors, and apparently sometimes just not making any sense. This decision is even more baffling because the cast of characters are all Japanese, and yet they all speak English. Except in the FMVs, where they speak Japanese, but it's overdubbed in English. Brilliant stuff, Konami. You guys are truly firing on all cylinders, and I am so thankful that you're hoarding some of the best IP in gaming.